Hi. I've got a tiny mic, so you know it's serious, right? I actually don't know if this is going to work. I hope it will. Otherwise, I'll just have recorded a whole thing without any audio. Something I want to talk about today, and it's so nice how this all happened so synchronistically, because truthfully, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about in this week's video. And then the universe opened it all up, and I was like, I got it. I know exactly what the topic will be. And that is breaking cycles and recognizing patterns so that you can step out of them. So the thing that happened this morning basically is I wasn't in the best headspace. Generally speaking, I've been going through a big transition in terms of looking ahead to the future and seeing and appreciating the vision that I want for myself, but also letting go of things in the process and just sort of navigating that dance between the two. So I was driving to my local shopping center. I just wanted to go to a cafe and read. I know, what a luxury, just to get out of the house. And I said to myself intentionally as I left the house, I am going to be in a great mood no matter what. I am going to shift my energy and just not be bothered. I'm not going to let anything bother me, because usually when I go to a shopping center, I find that I'm easily disturbed because there are so many people there, and I often let that impact or dictate how I feel at that moment. So I tend to try and avoid places like that when I feel that way. Which, by the way, I don't know if you can see my shirt, but yeah, it's for all my sensitive people out there. Hope you appreciate it. I'll link below if you're interested, because I saw it on TikTok and I knew I had to immediately buy it. Anyway, I digress. Back to my point. I got to the shopping center car park and a slew of things happened one after the other, where I knew I was sort of being tested in how I was going to let those things potentially affect my mood. And I didn't. I just was smiling and I'm like, nah, that's fine. That person just stole the car park I was heading towards. It doesn't matter. It's not that deep. Whatever. So I drove around the car park for 20 minutes, which I think on an off day would have really to be honest, annoyed me, and I would have left. But I just kept going. I was like, it's fine. Everything's fine. I'm not going to let it bother me. I didn't. Got to park, as you always do. It's not that much of an issue. You'll survive if you have to wait another 10-15 minutes. I went to the shopping center, parked myself at this cafe, and went to open my laptop. I was like, I'm just going to try and be productive and do some things that I should be doing. And my laptop was frozen. Nothing was working. I couldn't unfreeze it. No amount of control or delete task manager type solutions were fixing it. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm not meant to be on my computer today. So I promptly closed my laptop and pulled out a book, which was calling me that morning. And it was begging me to take it with me. And it's this book here, Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. I have already read this book, funnily enough, but one of my beautiful friends, Sully, hello Sully if you're watching, she actually gifted me this book, which was so funny because I had given away my first copy to someone I was dating, and obviously when we broke up, never saw it again. So I was really appreciative of that because I knew I wanted to read it again. It's the kind of book where it's a gift that keeps on giving. You can read it one phase in your life and then you can go back and reread it and find that you're just going to be getting so many other little juicy insights as it applies to your state of mind at that time. As is the case with me today. So had my coffee, started going through it, and I can't explain to you how many moments in which I was reading things and just having my mind completely blown, even though I'd read it before. And I had to sort of contain myself because I felt like I was doing I was doing these. I was like, and I wanted to tell people around me, have you read this? Because you should. It will change your life. And it's so interesting because the exact part that I was reading pertains to the exact sort of transformation or shifting that I was trying to do that morning. And I just wanted to take a moment to read something, if I may, from one of the chapters. There are so many good things in this book, but I just wanted to particularly highlight this section. So in it, he says, because we've developed this hypersensitive psyche, we constantly use our energies to close around it and protect ourselves. But this process only hides the problems, it doesn't fix them. You're locking your illness inside yourself and it will only get worse. And then it jumps ahead. Living like this allows for very little spontaneous joy, enthusiasm, and excitement for life. So basically, and this is what he says at the end, in order to reach a certain state of awareness, you must let your entire psyche surface. So I was frantically, as I was reading this, highlighting and underlining things, and this guy who was working there was like, "What are you reading?" And I told him, but even my summary didn't really do it justice, because what Michael is trying to say in that part, and I guess for most of the book, is that you can try and protect yourself from energies around you, from the world around you, from relationships, from toxic environments. You can wrap yourself in cotton wool and in the process believe that you're doing the right thing by yourself because you're avoiding your triggers and all the things you think are going to potentially disturb your energy. However, by doing that, you're masking and not allowing yourself to let the energy shift into something else. You're burying it. You're not getting to the root. It's not transforming into something else, and therefore kind of is staying within your psyche, within your body, as a sort of trapped energy or emotion. Why this struck a particular chord with me, and as it pertains to this whole cycle that I'm trying to break within myself, is that I have been faced with multiple opportunities, I feel, where the universe, the higher, whatever you want to call it, has been asking of me to re-examine the way that I feel about these so-called triggers or whatever they are and respond differently. But as a hypersensitive person, my, I think, comfort very much has been avoiding the discomfort, avoiding my fears, avoiding any energy that isn't something that I'm already used to. And I really believed deep within my heart that I was protecting myself by doing that. I thought, well, this happened in the past and I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go through that. So I'm just going to keep avoiding. And the problem is, it's like you're at this juncture, right, where you could go one of two ways and you're being prompted to go a different way, but you keep doing the same thing. You keep going back into the comfort of the choice that you're familiar with. And in turn, in the future, you get the same reaction, even if it's a different scenario. It's the same sort of reasoning because you're just trying to continuously protect yourself. And because of that, there's no growth that happens. It's like you're recycling the same behavior over and over again because it has nowhere to go. It has nothing to evolve into. That has been a very, I think, hard realization to come to. No one wants to take responsibility for their own action or inaction, for that matter. I feel like we can make all the excuses under the sun for why we chose not to do something. But really, I feel like behind a lot of it is fear and a sort of lack of certainty in what is beyond that. So yeah, as I was sitting at the cafe and reading all of these profound thoughts that, or ideas that Michael Singer was just spitting out, I realized that instead of, I guess, dwelling on things from the past in terms of what I haven't done and what I should have done, I can just now better appreciate and see that when I'm being presented with new opportunities, which I feel lucky to be offered, I can do things differently. I don't need to keep avoiding the discomfort. I just need to recognize it when it comes up and do it differently. Not avoid it, confront it, not feed into it, observe it, and shift it. So that's basically just all I want to say in a nutshell. I know firsthand how difficult it is to change the way that you've done something time and time again. I feel like it's why a lot of us stay in jobs that we don't like sometimes. It's why we avoid being in relationships even though we've been single for a really long time. It's why we put off impending moves overseas, because we're just trying to protect our hypersensitive psyche from the discomfort that might come out of doing something differently. My challenge to you is to reflect on your own patterning and when you're coming to your own little forks in the road at multiple times in your life, and see how you're maybe being too protective of yourself. It's so hard, honestly. It is really challenging after you've done things a certain way for so many years to see what is beyond all of that. I feel personally like I've always gotten up to a certain level and then hesitated and sort of reverted back to what I've always done, purely because I was scared and I didn't believe that it was going to be okay beyond that point. The thing is, though, for me anyway at this time, I know if I don't leap, I know if I don't do what the universe is prompting me to do, I'm going to be stuck in this cycle, and it's just going to go round and round and round. And I don't know about you, but I want to grow this year. I want to challenge myself to do the things that I want to do anyway, despite any discomfort I feel around doing things in a different way. So yeah, that's just my little thoughts and realizations, and I want to challenge you out there to recognize your own patterning, and also to read The Untethered Soul. I promise you it has a wealth of information and so many beautiful ideas about consciousness, and it might go over your head at first. You may find yourself reading the same page over and over again, but trust me, it'll be so worth it. I believe in you. I know you can make the change that you want to make. It is so possible. Take this from someone who in their 30s is finally taking control of their life and doing things differently.